Right here we have Governor Wes Moore. He is the governor of Maryland. I know a lot of information about Wes Moore. I learned a lot about him just with my time in DC, and I actually helped somebody who's on his team now, who was running for a campaign position. He was actually running for something like an alderman position or something of that nature. Um, with that being said, uh, if I show you your friends, I could show you what you agree with. I can show you what you're going to be. And I know there are certain people on his team who don't care about people because I got to witness it. It's the reason why I left the campaign was because when things happen, they only wanted to support things that they felt supported their area of town or and it's a long story, but there was a apartment complex that caught on fire. It was out of the district that the gentleman was running in. I suggest that, hey, maybe we try to provide some type of assistance for these people. And it became a whole political thing of why they didn't want to do that. They might feel like we're stepping on their toes. And I feel like in the world today, anytime there comes with two people helping you, no one's going to look at you stepping on their toes. In America, we're supposed to be one united. We're supposed to be a united front. We're supposed to stand for one another. And I just seen a lot of things behind the scenes. And I'm going to play this for you guys. This is Governor Wes Moore talking about his 5 steps and how he's going to support federal workers. But I want you guys to pay real close attention to what he's saying.
Control the actions of the White House, but we can control on how we respond to the actions of the White House. And that's what we're here to talk about today. I've long said that this administration will lead being mission first and people always. This moment is no different. Our top priority is to protect Marylanders, and that includes protecting those who are affected by these arbitrary cuts from Washington. And today, I am announcing 5 new steps that we are taking to protect our public servants, our communities, and our economy. The first, we are continuing to build out the Maryland Public Servants Resource website that we launched due to sudden federal layoffs. In just 2 weeks, more than 51,000 people have visited our website. 2 weeks, 51,000 people. And today, we are taking steps to ensure that we offer even more support for Marylanders who are looking for help. Our website now includes links to housing support, programs for veterans, local resources, state benefits, and information on nearly 130,000 job openings.
So let's start there. First step is they revamped or they improved their website to help people find work, veterans, federal employees who lost their job. But I want to play that back for you because 51,000 people have utilized the website. But why wasn't this website being used prior to this incident, prior to federal workers? So let me play this for you guys.
Site now includes links to housing support, programs for veterans, local resources, state benefits.
It now includes these things. That website didn't include those things before this federal worker cut happened. And see, a lot of people are going to get confused. I think it's a great thing that they have resources, but why wasn't these resources in place prior to the huge federal workers being cut? See, now they're adding things to the website to only benefit what's happening in the world. See, this is somebody being reactive and not proactive. If you lived in the state of Maryland, this should really be something that you want to point out because why was these things not available to you from the get-go? These are resources that other states already have in place for their people.
Benefits and information on nearly 130,000 6,000 job openings. So I encourage all Marylanders who have been affected by these federal cuts or have been affected or their family members have been affected. I encourage all Marylanders to go to response.maryland.gov/federal public servants. The second, we are launching a campaign to connect federal workers with jobs in education. Maryland is facing a severe teacher shortage.
Boom. You don't have to be a rocket science to hear this. So, for those who aren't familiar, Maryland has a huge teacher shortage. One, teachers make no money. Two, Prince George County is one of the worst counties, and some of the baddest kids ever are in these schools. One of those schools were actually a charter school that was on my base where I worked. And it was a lot of violence, a lot of bullying, kids fighting kids, parents would come up there acting a fool. See, those jobs that he's talking about that are available in the city of Maryland are not going to be jobs that federal workers are looking to do. And I want you guys to continue to listen to what he's saying, because he's going to implement DEI in just a second.
And we need to fill more classrooms with qualified teachers. So the Maryland Department of Education and the Maryland Higher Education Commission are working together to ensure that we meet this mission. We are going to be uplifting and highlighting resources that empower federal workers to pursue and obtain their education licensure. This approach will both support laid-off employees and close the educator shortage that we're having in the state of Maryland at the same time.
That's the main goal, to close the shortage of educators that they have in Maryland. It has nothing to do with these trying to help these federal workers out. Why would a federal worker, depending on their position, who is probably making 70 to 80,000 a year, if not six figures, because a lot of these government workers were GS 10s, GS 11s. If you guys know anything about the GS system, these federal employees were making great money and even better benefits. And now you're telling them, hey, come be an educator for us. We're creating a program where you can become and transition into being an educator and being a teacher. These people are trying to continue their lifestyle and continue to be able to live the way they were living. These things will help them have a job. It will help them employ. But at the same time, this is all for Governor Wes Moore to do the things that he needs to do for his state. He's trying to close the educational gap that they're having. He's trying to improve on these things, but he's now doing it. He's been governor of Maryland since, what is it, 2025 now? I want to say 2022, 2023. And you never thought about doing these initiatives prior to that? You never thought about going into the workforce and trying to create these things for us to get more, for you guys to get more educators? And watch the things that they're going to do for these people.
And I encourage Marylanders who are interested in this opportunity to visit teach.maryland.gov. Third, we are moving in partnership with local and county leadership to host job fairs all across the state of Maryland. Partnership produces progress. And we are grateful for all of our state and our local partners who have raised their hands to support Marylanders in this time of need. These job fairs are designed to connect Marylanders with opportunities in both the public and the private sectors. And anyone who's interested in learning more about these local and county job fairs, please go to labor.maryland.gov/federal workers. Fourth, we are launching a push to recruit federal workers for open positions within our state government. One thing that I learned from serving in the military is that service isn't just a what. It oftentimes also comes with your why. Our federal employees, they want to continue serving. They want to continue leading. And these arbitrary firings that have come their way are not only unfair, they are impacting our national security, they're impacting our global competitiveness, they're impacting our way of life.
So now he's starting to use the victim mentality. And again, he's trying to fill his own city jobs and private sector. Those city jobs, again, will not pay what the federal jobs were paying these individuals. Again, anyone who's listening to this, since when I review the comments, people think there's no information here. I'm not saying that having no job is better than having a job. No, I think getting into the workforce is great. With that being said, people want to be compensated for what they feel like they're worth. And all these things that they're introducing to these federal workers is going to lower what they ever brought in. Again, we all know what a teacher makes. Again, we all know what city workers make. And it's not like they're going to be starting at the top of the totem pole either. These city jobs in Maryland probably going to be trash, waste management. It's going to be water. It's going to be hard blue collar work, which is nothing wrong with that. But those people have to build up their time into those services. This is not something that's going to be just an instant gratification. And the reason why I'm spotlighting these 5 things that Governor Wes Moore is trying to say is going to be a positive thing is because he's only doing this to benefit himself. These jobs are only available because City of Maryland individuals chose to choose federal jobs over working in their city, over working in their community, over being in the school systems that their children went to or their children might go to. It's a reason why people didn't take those steps at the beginning. Now you want them to go backwards and do something in the city of Maryland that's not going to benefit them. It's going to benefit just the city of Maryland.
And I want to make it as easy as possible for them to
How are you going to
continue
make
to
it easy,
serve
Westmore?
and to serve the people of this state. So on March 7th, we will host a virtual information session
Listen to this
about
part.
state jobs. That initial kickoff will be followed by a joint in-person job fair in Prince George's County and Baltimore City. We know there are tasks that our state has got to be responsible for when it comes to making sure that we're meeting the needs of every single Marylander. And we know there are roles that need to be supported and filled in order for that to be the case as well. And we're hopeful for the opportunity to have some of these federal workers, some of these public servants who can help fill those slots. And 5th, it isn't enough to recruit federal workers to serve in state government. We also need to develop internal processes to help them get hired quickly.
How are you going to do that, Westmore?
And today, I have signed 3 memoranda to that end. I've directed our Department of Transportation to launch a program helping federal workers translate their professional experience into state employment.
Listen now, he's rolling into DEI.
Making sure that an understanding of their experience can then be read and processed when it comes to new job opportunities.
So what he's saying right now is he's going to take federal employees' resumes. He's going to have the city of Maryland or the city of Prince George County in Baltimore look at their resumes and then transcribe them to say what they need them to say to meet the criteria so that they're approved for these city jobs. Now, for somebody who just recently retired from the military, I understand taking your federal job experience and translating it into civilian work. With that being said, he's trying to specify someone's federal job experience to be available and to translate that experience to one area or one department. If I never did transportation or logistics or things of that nature in my federal career, how are you now going to make me someone who has a resume that qualifies for transportation? If I was somebody who was a blue collar worker, let's say I did HVAC, heating, ventilation, and AC when I was in the military, there's no way that I'm gonna take changing filters, cleaning gutters, electrician, and change that and make it sound like I can go be a teacher. There's no way you can do that. There's no way you can make information on a federal resume streamlined to just one specific area that he's trying to put people in. So again, this is another form of DEI. He's trying to move people into the area that he needs to move them into and make their resume read for what the city's looking for.
Opportunities. I've also directed the Department of Budget and Management to make our hiring processes more efficient and more streamlined. When we have a need and we have a person that can fill that need, get it filled.
So now he's even able to streamline the process because I want this federal worker. I feel like they meet our standards and we're going to get them in the door quicker. Why were you not doing this for all Marylanders, however you would say that, or people who live in Maryland? How would you feel as a Maryland person right now if you're in Prince George County or Baltimore? How would you feel right now if you hearing your governor say, for these federal employees, we're going to make things more streamlined for them. We're going to teach them how to make their resume fit the job. Why were you not doing this for your own people who weren't in federal positions? You have to make this make sense. See, we missed the big picture. I understand that he's trying to help people, but he's only helping himself. As a governor, and like I always told people, Wes Moore is going to be running for president for the Democrat Party next. That's why he's doing this. This is going to be something that he runs on because he's going to put so many federal people who were cut from their jobs. He's going to put them working for the city of Maryland. Then he's going to push it. I'm going to promote those federal workers back into their federal positions when I become president because I know them. I built a relationship with them. They're Marylanders. They come from my city. He's going to have this whole spiel. Trust me. Today is March the 4th, 2025. When the next president race comes up and Governor Wes Moore will put his name in that hat, he's going to run off of this incentive right here because it's going to be federal workers that they put into these positions.
Move quickly. And let's finish the job. And finally, I've directed our State Department of Education and our Higher Education Commission to identify additional opportunities for federal workers to explore a second career in teaching.
Everything went back to teaching. So he gave you 5 steps with only 2 things that he actually are doing. Because the first step was a website that was already created that they just enhanced. That's not a step. You didn't do anything there. Step 2, now they're going to open up these slots to make federal employees educators. That's one thing. Cool. Number 3, he went on to talk about job fairs and having job fair. Every county, every state already has job fairs. You're not recreating the wheel. And then number 5, you went back to repeating what you felt was the most important thing, and that was for you to fill your educator gap. That's all he's trying to do. And I'm telling you guys right now, see, I'm going to be called Uncle Tom. I'm going to be called ignorant. I'm going to be called stupid. I'm going to be called all these names in the comments, which is fine. With that being said, you now have to understand that you're taking random people, putting them into an education environment, and these people are going to be around your children. You're going to have to trust them with the background. People who didn't have a passion for being a teacher, who didn't have a passion for education, because if they had that background and they wanted to do that, that's would have been where they went. They wouldn't went into the federal sector. They went into the federal sector because they went to school, they have education, they wanted to be in a certain position, and that's what they went for. We now are going to force feed these people education positions and transportation positions. Because if you notice, transportation and education was the only 2 departments that he actually mentioned. He did not mention other departments. He said transportation and education. Those were the 2 departments that he mentioned. And a lot of those are probably going to be bus driver positions so that they can have bigger routes. Again, you have your teachers gap that needs to be filled, which is all great. Hear me again when I say this. The the concept is great, but you have to see what the bigger picture is. And the bigger picture is Governor Wes Moore is trying to fill billets that he needs to fill to make his governor time in his time as governor uh, something that looks like a success, because currently it's looking like a failure. And anybody who's in the DMV area would tell you about Prince George County. They would tell you about Baltimore City. You can go look them up. Governor Wes Moore is now allowing federal workers to take a knee like Tank Davis did in the ring and still win. So if I was someone and I lived in Maryland, I would not appreciate this, because why didn't you do this just for everyday people who are trying to get into the education system? I know a lot of people who would love to be educators who didn't have the certain qualifications, but now you're going to streamline these things. You're going to get all these processes ready for them to now do what they need to do. Trying to tell people, man, this stuff is all a game. This stuff is all about, excuse me, this stuff is all about them filling their pockets. It's all about him getting himself ready for candidacy for president. And people aren't going to believe me until it happens. So, tell you right now, Governor Wes Moore, mark my words, will be running for president, for the next president. He will be the next Democrat. And he will get numbers from what he's doing right now. These Maryland people are going to go in there because they need work. They're going to get into this education system. They're going to see all the headaches that they have to deal with and how that they're not getting paid for what they actually do. And you're going to have a bunch of people in this education system that never been around children, don't truly understand how to educate kids, and it's going to cause a debacle. But until then, you guys continue to take those 5 steps that he wants you to take, and we'll see where it leads you. But again, I know a lot of people are only going to hear the negative